stuck in this rut, they should do what Lauren and I did. So we're going to the graveyard. I said, let's walk down these aisles and see a name that we like. Joe, you won't believe what we found, man. We can travel around the world. We can have new homes. I know you want more. We can make things happen. We can make it a better world. Come on, Joe, get up. No response. There's 2 dates on there. There's a birth date and a death date. The interesting thing is between every one of those birth dates and death dates, every single one of them, there's a dash. The question is, what are you going to do with the dash? Keep growing. I believe in you.
All right. Well, hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special session this evening as we discuss the What Are You Going to Do with the Dash Challenge and why every single one of you should be going for the challenge. As you can see, here's the criteria of what it takes to qualify as a challenge achiever. It's all about getting our tickets and investing in our education, but also identifying other people that we want to coach up in order to take their life to the next level. We're going to bring on some new business partners, and we're going to move products to end consumers and build a solid retail base. And with that being said, folks, I have an incredible panel of individuals who have already achieved this challenge. So please welcome, we have professional coordinator Marc Bernacchi joining us on the line. And then we also have up and coming rising superstar as well, Annie Vidal, joining us on the line. And then we also have executive field vice presidents, which means they are longtime veterans of the company and super successful unfranchised owners, Norm and Mary Roth. So wow, could not be more excited to have this amazing panel on the line with me here tonight. All different levels in time, basically time invested with the company, which is why they're at where they're at with the company at this point. But to kick things off, let's go ladies first on this. And I guess I'll pick the single lady on the line who is newer with the company, but making big moves with the company. And that's Annie Vidal. Annie, why did you commit to the challenge? Why did you say, now is the time for me to go for this? What are you going to do with the Dash Challenge?
That's a great question, Cullen. Thank you. But the reality is I've gone for every chairman's challenge, every challenge the company's put out there. And I can tell you that so many times I've come this close and I've never hit it. And the difference this time, and I've got goosebumps, I beat myself up after it every time because I came so close. And at leadership school, when they announced that they were doing this challenge in honor and memory of JR and what it signifies, that you have to live that dash, I said, I'm all in. And when I looked at that criteria, I said, oh my gosh, I'm in. Because I had 95% of it already accomplished because of what I've been doing this past year.
Wow. Fantastic. Love it.
Yeah.
Marc Bernacchi, let's jump to you, buddy.
All right. Well, Cullen, thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Well, yeah, actually, I forget who it was at leadership school. One of the gentlemen, I think it was on day 3. I believe it was the individual that was running the ABC pattern segment. But when he closed, he mentioned the best way that we can show our gratitude is through action. And I was just like, I don't know, for some reason, like out of that whole 3-day event, that was just like the one phrase that stuck out of my mind is, okay, we can say all the great things we want, but really the best way to display that is to put those teachings into practice and make the dash count, right? So that was really the mindset behind going for it.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I believe it was Stephen Hu was the one
Yes.
that did the ABC.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's great. That's great. All right. Mary and Norm.
Well, I just do this every day. I mean, it's just such a part of our life. I don't even know I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Because we've been doing it so long. And I go for the, MUFO every quarter, and you just do it. It's just your life. What was the other question?
That's the main question. Why did you commit to it? It's a funny story, you guys. Let me just say this. I'm going to say it. So as I was reaching out to the 3 unfranchised owner, dynamic teams here, when I reached out to Norm and Mary, they said, remind us of what exactly the challenge was. I mean, we know it's the JR challenge, but what did we have to do?
Right.
And no joke. They hit it because they just live the business. They live the business. It's just every day a piece of their life. And so therefore it's just what we do. Right. That's what they said to me. And I said, well, that's all the more reason for me to have you guys on, because again, it's just what we do. Right, Norm?
I watching that video. Every time I watch that video, I get goosebumps. I could watch it 20 times tonight and I'd still get goosebumps. The reason why is because that year that he had on the nobody tombstone was 1 year after I was born.
Mm.
And I think about that every time I see that. Because what are you doing with your dash? Mary and I have been so blessed over decades, yet we still do it as if we just started, because we love helping people. And there's no better way in the world to help people than help them physically, financially, or both. Cullen, it's tremendous. And thank you for inviting us on today.
It's just part of your life. I mean, it's just like working out every day and cleaning your house. I mean, you just do it.
Absolutely.
And I
And by the
I was just going to say one other thing. This is what I was going to say before. I don't ask anyone to do anything I didn't do. I will not ask anybody to do what I didn't do. So.
Love that. And I should have asked everybody's background too, like before even, if you're still working or if before you got started with the business. Just quickly, Norm and Mary, what was your background and how long ago did you guys get started? Not everybody didn't have to share how long ago, but for these guys, I want them to share how long, because it's been like you said, a couple of decades.
Well, it's been almost 3 decades.
Mm-hmm.
3 decades.
Wow.
28 and a half years. This year will be my 29th year celebration. Mary, 26 and a half years. This year will be her 27th in September.
Yeah, my Q date's 9/6/96, 9696.
And honest to goodness, Cullen, guys, we wake up every single day, just like we did that first day we started. Because our mission and our goal is to help as many people as we can. And that's what gives us true meaning to that dash.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. And backgrounds, occupation, prior.
I owned a hair salon and had 13 stylists. I did that for 25 years. But I got tired of training my competition in all the hours. I wanted a lifestyle.
There you go. Love it.
I told my customers, I don't care if I make less money. I want a flexible lifestyle where I can do what I want, when I want, with who I want. And that became a reality.
There you go.
Yeah. And for me, it was 22 years of education. I was teacher, coach, athletic director, held a master's in education, and with only 20 to 30 products back in 1995. Yeah. It's just absolutely amazing. And when you find the right people and you have the right team, it's amazing what can happen.
There you go.
I doubled my income with my salon and 13 stylists in 2 years.
There you go.
And Cullen, to be quite frank, I just wanted to make a $300 check. When I found that was our smallest override check, because I had a beat up 85 Chevy. Yeah, I still had a loan on. And I thought if I could just pay that off and make $300 a month.
There you go. All right, so here we go. Marc, also same thing. So occupation as well, but we'll jump to you on this one. Any obstacles, anything come up where you were like, man, are you serious? A little obstacle that you had to overcome in this journey of going for the challenge 90-day?
Yeah. So, background in this actually was finance, was coming right out of school. And, Brett, who actually you guys had on, I think a few weeks ago, was the one who introduced me to this. So I say I signed up 10 years ago, but I've been running the business for 4. when you actually, the day you get started versus when you start doing the basic 5 are 2 different times. But
Sure.
in terms of I guess the challenge really was more so, I guess, just upping the customer sales, right? Because typically you kind of build the foundation or structure around the 500 BV a month and 1,500 for the quarter. So then we're talking about double that. But it's just really a matter of putting focus towards it. And then one thing I always say is get caught up in the question of asking yourself, how can you do it? And you'd be surprised of, the resources that come to mind, the possibilities. So just asking yourself the right question, so that way you can obviously be resourceful enough to get it done.
Love that. Perfect. Annie, let's go to you. Same question.
Oh my goodness. I was a corporate human resources director for 25 years and had a horrible car accident and discovered this incredible lifestyle in 2017. And like Marc said, yes, that's when I registered my business. And the last 5.5 years, it's been up and down, up and down. And a lot of it has been because of ongoing health challenges. But, the most important thing for me with all of this, and it's something that I learned from JR, and if it's a tip I can give someone on how to hit this challenge or any challenges, you got to focus. And I've been 200% focused this past year on the basic 5, meeting all the requirements for Master UFO every quarter, not just one quarter to get free shipping, no, every quarter. Retailing. That has been a huge change for me this year. Showing the plan, not being afraid to show the plan. You know what? If you mess it up, it doesn't matter, because like JR has taught us, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. Okay. And being true to yourself about what your goals are. Okay. And being all in. When you're committed, all in, 200%. Forget about 100%, 200%. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your team. Okay. And you're doing for our family, because that's what we are. That's what JR built, a family of thousands of unfranchised owners.
There you go. Beautiful. Love that. All right. Norm and Mary, any obstacles ever come up in your path?
Oh yeah, we've always got something that comes up, but it doesn't stop me. I'm a bull.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, they don't call her Queen Mary for nothing, right? I just call her that. But I'm telling you, every day there's, hey, life's a challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you get to be our young age. And if the audience only knew, but thank God for these products.
Right.
Because we don't feel a lot different than we did when we started, almost 30 years ago. And
there you go.
But if you saw what we take every day,
I feel better.
Yeah, you would know. And in our stories, yeah, Mary, we've been able to do that now with thousands of people over the years. And it's just such gratification to know that, and satisfaction. But yeah, you're gonna have that no matter where you go. But the main thing is to always have something that you're going after. And that's what we do. Like, we always have our bean jar full. I mean, everywhere we go, we have it full.
I can't keep up with it.
Yeah,
This is just my list for today.
This is just this is just kind of off the cuff just today yet. And but this is what we do, and we love doing it. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't like doing it, or we thought it was drudgery, or we thought, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, that'd be different. But we don't, because we know what these products and services can do for people's lives. And what I love about it, Cullen, is that we are the everything and anyway company. We have basically everything, and you're going to buy it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So why not get paid?
And get a better quality.
And get all the benefits that come with it.
Love that. Love that. And I remember him being new in the company, a really young guy, and asking Norm, hey man, what does it take? And he said, just always going up. Just don't get too high and don't get too low. But if always going up, because, you get that one where you're like, I got the one, I think this is the one, and they're going to be the best up, and then they let you down. And now you're like, oh, and then people are on this major roller coaster ride instead of just staying steady, straight up, man. Just keep going up.
Persistent, consistent persistence, persistent consistence. And if you can just do that, man, you will start to go this way. There's just no way you can't.
That's it. Love it. All right, let's go. Norman, Mary, we'll start with you on this next question. Top lesson. What would be a top lesson from JR, from being new in the business? I mean, if you had to pick one, I know it's kind of tough, but if there was one lesson that you got from JR that really has helped propel you to grow your unfranchised business, what would that be?
Some will, some won't. So what next? It's their loss. It's not my loss. And I make people qualify themselves. And if they're not qualified, I don't have time for it. So I just look for the right people that have a why and really want to do something about it.
Love that.
And for me, it was, you've got to lead the way. You lead the way so others will follow. I'll never forget starting that unfranchised business, Marc and America, in my house in the Midwest, one of the first people with Marc Arkebauer back in 1994. And then going to a library because it got too big in the house, then going to a small hotel, then going to a medium-sized hotel, then going to a large hotel where we had almost 1,000 people coming to meetings. I'm telling you, you have to lead the way so others will follow. And if you do, they will.
Love that. Perfect. All right, Annie, let's go back to you.
I've learned so much from JR. There's so many things, but the one that's always in my heart is successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And
Amen.
Being at International Convention last year and him doing his presentation like he always does about Joe Nobody and that dash and how important it is. That was my reality last year, because in February of 22, I had a massive stroke. And, to find out 2 weeks later that, he was no longer with us, it meant even more. And that was even the biggest lesson, unfortunately. And sometimes we all have to remember that life is precious and don't take a second for granted. You have to live the dash. And I made myself that promise, and I made that promise to JR, and I am living this dash. So
beautiful. All right, Marc.
One of the things that I took away, I mean, there's a lot obviously from him, but really just the idea of programming your mind and, like the power of identity. I love that audio so much. And I realized it more so I would say after he passed, because then I got to see and hear the stories of how he got started, because by the time I came into the company and everything, things were rocking and rolling. He was already successful, even though it's a progressive thing. But from an outside perspective, you say, all right, this guy's doing clearly well. But just to kind of like hear the stories of how things got started and where he had to come from, and just how this is like, hey, just because of an idea and relentless, persistence, like you were just saying, Norm, before, and just going after it every single day, the impact, not only the success he was able to help himself create, but all of us and for generations down the line. So to boil it down, thinking big and programming yourself to be a hopeless success.
Yeah, that's great. All right, I'm gonna throw an extra one out. I'm gonna throw one extra question because you guys got me rolling. You guys got me thinking now. So let's go to Annie. Annie, if you had to give everybody watching this one tip of maybe a technique or a tool or what you're using in order to grow and really be rocking your business, if there's one strategy, you don't have to explain we don't have enough time to explain the whole, but like, what would be the strategy? What's the tool in the toolbox, or what are you doing in order to really rock right now?
I learned something from a very wise person, and I was told recently that I should take ownership of it because, everybody borrows things from everybody else. And it's the 3 L's. Okay. To listen, learn, and love on people. meet them where they're at. Okay. I can tell you the business partners I've brought on just this year are people that I met over a year ago, and I've been listening, learning about them, and loving on them. Okay. So that's the one thing that is always at the center of my heart when I'm out there meeting people.
Perfect. Norma Mary, top tip, prospecting, whatever it might be that could help somebody listening right now. Like, you just showed your names list, Mary, and you go, this is just from today. So, strike in the conversation or learn, like, what top, maybe give a tip.
Just listening to people then and providing a solution, because everybody opens doors, and you just ask a couple questions, they open a door, I walk in. So it's just listening and offering a solution.
And for me, Cullen, it would be don't prejudge. Do not prejudge. I can't tell you the number of people that we brought on board, either through other people or ourselves, that if we would have prejudged them and said, nah, this person wouldn't do it, this person wouldn't do it, this person wouldn't make anything out of it, and they just go crazy with the business, that would have cost us. And you can't prejudge for success either. You can't prejudge and say, this person's going to just kick it and he's going to be whatever and da, 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 da. Oh, really? And then, 2 weeks later, I don't think it's for me, type thing. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen to what those people want in their life. And then always do as JR said, believe in them so they can believe in you. And when that combination comes together, there's nothing that can stop you. Nothing. And they won't either. And we've got the whole package, the company, the products and services, the right comp plan, the right training and support, and the right timing like never before. And people are looking, they're out there looking. And all we got to do is walk in.
Right. And we just attended a success seminar probably about a month ago, the top 12 people in the world that are entrepreneurial. And we ended up getting free tickets, but the tickets were $550 for 2 days.
People came from all over.
And all they were doing was presenting their programs where they could coach and mentor. And let me tell you, it's very expensive. Some of them wanted 10% of their gross earnings after a year. A lot of them wanted $25,000 just to take a class. We offer all of this for nothing.
I know.
And everything they said was, you have to have an internet business and you have to have leverage or you're going to work till you die.
And Cullen, we sat through that 3-day seminar, and I'm telling you this, that everything that we have with this company blew anything they had away.
It did.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
So great. Sometimes we got to go to something like that to reassure us of what we really have sometimes, and you go, what else is going on? You go, look at they ain't got nothing on us. It's hilarious, right?
Like our tickets for Icon, $250 for 3 days. 100%. I mean, if there's a 4th day too, and there's breakouts and stuff. Their trainings are, like I said, 25, 30, 45,000.
Depending. Yeah. Les Brown was there, the Shark, everybody was there, but it's all the big bucks.
The co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean,
everything.
They all said all what we teach.
Yeah.
And what we know.
Yeah.
100%. So great. All right, Marc. Top tip, man. Top strategy here. One of the top people to bring on business partners, Marc Bernacchi. Everybody wants to know the secret. How are you doing it, buddy?
Well, I would say, honestly, what these guys shared already is super important. It's really having like the right perspective and lens that you're seeing it through as well. No one directly came out and said it, but it's from a mindset of service, helping people and knowing what you have in your hands. So you have to obviously get that congruent, because if you're coming to this mindset of, I'm going to be bothering people, or, I'm going to be stepping on toes, it doesn't really, there's no technique that can save you when that's, all said and done. So you have to have the mindset right and the perspective. And that's where listening to all the tapes to help you build your belief up is so important. But I like to boil it down into the 3 things I do for a DMO. is add, ask, follow up. So I'm going to add new names, connect with new people, as obviously this was brought up before. You have to ask the question, right, at some point, because you can have a lot of conversations, a lot of possibilities, but if you never actually present either the products or the opportunity, there's only going to go so far. And then the last thing is follow up, which, you know, I know, Anna, you mentioned it before. Following up with people is the most important. So fortune's in the follow-up. So those three things are what I like to focus on every day.
So great. Okay, so here's my final question. And Marc, we're going to start with you since you went last on this one. But we got Icon coming up, International Convention 2023, Greensboro, North Carolina. And what everybody wants to know is, are you going?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It wasn't even a question if not.
Of course.
We're going to keep inviting as many people until we can. I think there's 50 days or something. We've been doing a countdown. So you guys got to get there. If you haven't, if you're off on the fence, get off the fence, just make the commitment and, you know, use the next month and a half to bring as many people with you as well. It's going to be a life-changing event. I know it for a fact.
And when you went to your first one, Marc, or when that billionth of a volt went off across the cerebral, what do you remember what it was? What was it for you at that first, you know, big event you went to? You know, because a lot of people listening to this might be on the fence and they might be wondering like, yeah, but I've seen some online training. I've seen an online this or that, you know, why do I got to fly there? Why do I got to go in person? Right. But what would it have been for you?
Well, I probably wouldn't still be in the business, truthfully, if I didn't go. Honestly, when I got started, like I said, I didn't get off to a super fast start or anything like that. So I really kind of use that as a way to see, okay, this is for real. This is, you know, a big opportunity. There's people making it happen, thousands. You just can't replicate that energy. For myself, when I remember, like when I finally got it, it was 2014. And at that point, you know, JR was talking about resetting the clock and everything. And it's not when you get started, but it's when you start implementing the basic five, that whole thing. And I just remember it was that combined with like the tagline was new company, new opportunity, new you. And it was just like all these things coming together where it was like, wow, at any point in time, you can just like relaunch your business and take it for what it's worth. And then that, and the recognition, when I saw, you know, guys like Norm and Mary, you know, making, you know, I don't want to get into income claims, but you know, making more in a year than or more in a month than some people made in a year. I was like, all right, I can at least make $600 a month to pay off some student loans. And then from there, the belief just kind of, you know, built upon itself that way. So
Perfect. There you go. All right, Norm and Mary.
Well, if I hadn't gone to my first conference, it was in February of '97. I guess what I found was the belief in the company and the people that were making big money. I thought, if they can do it, I know I could do it. So that motivated me. And I went home and went to work. And if you don't go, well, first of all, it's a shortcut. If you want to make money and get there fast, you've got to attend, and you got to get as many people as you can to attend with you. The first year I went, I had 2 people because I was just new. And then the next year, I don't know how many people. Every year it just grew and grew and grew. And that's how you build from event to event. And the training and the belief, you can't put a price tag. And watching it online is not the same. It'd be like going to a wedding. Instead of going to a wedding, you're watching it online. You know what I mean? It's just not the same impact. You have to be there. You have to be part of it. And you meet people from all over that you connect with, because you end up meeting people that live where they live, and you can connect them into their events. So, and you become like a family. We call it family, you know, friends become family, and it's huge. So I'll let Norm go.
And Mary's first convention, Cullen, was at the Fort Lauderdale convention. And out of that convention, 1997, came, I'll never forget, as long as I live, there were 5,000 people there, 7,000 people there on that convention. And out the doors walked, for the first time, Joanne Shee, Vicki Lee, Nina Hale, and a lot of others of great pin levels, and Mary. I'll never forget that. When they come walking out, I'll never forget that as long as I live. And after that convention, they just exploded. And then, of course, the company came out with all kinds of new everythings. And I mean, it just exploded. And my first one was, I'm doing this part-time, right? And I have a basketball tournament that was our #1 producer for our school. And guess who's in charge of it? But guess who told me that if I didn't make it to Tyson's Corners, Virginia in February on that weekend in 1995, they wouldn't work with me anymore? Arlene Lloyd, my sponsor.
Right.
And I did whatever it took, had my assistant run it. But I went there, and Cullen, I never landed back in Milwaukee. I never landed. And it just took off like gangbusters after that. And we just exploded. And it's like anything in life. When you're there and you feel and you shake hands and you see, so much more powerful than trying to get it on a Zoom or trying to get it on a TV show or trying to get it in a, audio. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
And when I saw Ben Ginder up there making all that money, I just went, if they can do it, I can do it. Came back, went to work, and the rest was history. 2 to 3 years. Yeah. Crazy.
Love it. All right, Annie, last but not least, Icon.
I've only missed one major event, but I saw it on Zoom because I had just gotten out of the hospital from having the stroke last year in February of 22. You've got to, if you're committed to yourself and you're truly committed to building this business, there is zero excuse for not being there. Okay. And if you have people on your team that are struggling, and I know because when I first started, I remember that first World Conference for me, sitting in the bleachers and listening to Lauren on stage saying, if you've got people around you that are negative, or you've got someone that's holding you back and whatever, get rid of them. Okay. And she said, and do whatever you need to do to be at international convention. I focused on that. And I have not missed a convention since, none of them. And I can tell you this, there's zero excuse for not being there. You have to lead. If you're a leader, and you want to lead people and you want to have a strong organization, you have to get them to go to convention. If you've got to rent a van and hog tie and duct tape people to throw them in there, do it. If you got to help them with, having an event, even if it's a little one, to retail, to come up with the money, if you can't afford the hotel, get an Airbnb or something and everybody split the cost. There are ways to help your team get there. Okay. So don't allow anyone say, oh, I just can't afford it. I know money's tight for everybody, but you know what? Once they're there, they sit in that audience and they experience, it's a surreal energy that's in the air. And they're going to tell you, I'm all in, what do I need to do? And that's it. And on the way home, you got a nice drive to get everybody working on getting all their geese in a row. Okay.
I love it. Well, as we all know, you guys, there's never a lack of money at the end of the day. It's only a lack of resourcefulness in order to overcome any obstacle that gets in someone's path. And that's the beautiful thing about every single one of you unfranchised owners who is on the line with me here tonight. You guys are amazing at helping people overcome any obstacle that get in their path. But the people get to choose, though. Do they want to be an overcomer or do they want to play the victim? It's one or the other. And at the end of the day, we're looking for people that want to be an overcomer and want to leverage the team in order to make magic happen. So as we round it out here tonight, you guys, Icon is where it's at, coming up here at the end of August 24th through the 27th, Greensboro, North Carolina. Matter of fact, we're kicking off on the 23rd. We're going to have a special unfranchised business presentation that night with our president, and COO, Marc Ashley, but he's also teaming up with Executive Vice President Kevin Buckman and Vice President Andrew Weissman. I mean, it's going to be a smoking hot on franchise business presentation that night. If nothing else, you want to go just to take some notes, because these three individuals spent so much time with JR from the beginning until the end, you guys, step by step, exactly how to show the plan, what to say, how to do it, the whole thing. You're going to want to be there Wednesday night to be taking notes and have a ton of fun in the process. I have a short video I'm going to play as we close it out. But before I play that video, I just want to thank each and every one of you guys, Marc, Annie, Norm, and Mary. Way to lead by example, way to storm the trail so other people can follow. And I'm looking forward to seeing each and every one of you guys at Icon. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
Cullen, before you play this, remember, there are two kinds of people in this world. Those that go to Icon and those that don't.
There you go. And that tells the whole story.